Hi, I'm Jill from Count on Linens, and this is my floss tube about cross stitch, some quilting, and crafty things. I have been watching, I guess I've been a contributor as a viewer since 2018, and I found Flosstube through watching Kimberly at the Fat Quarter Shop, just watching her tutorials. And I had my eye on the Quilter's Cottage. And when that came out, I quickly purchased that. And Kimberly kept talking about this floss tube, and I was very curious. So I hopped onto YouTube and found it and quickly fell in love. I was not surprised at all of the how big the community is, but I wasn't surprised, but I was actually quite pleased that there were so many stitchers out there who had the same interest as me and my sister and my friends who also love to do all the crafty things such as quilting, cross stitching, and things like that. So, like many of you, I've been admiring from afar for many years. Some of you may have just discovered Flosstube. Maybe some of you had just discovered cross stitch, or maybe getting back into it after several years. My approach for my Flosstube, for my content, is going to, of course, reach the stitchers out there that have been doing it for quite a while, and also stitchers who may just be starting. And so I might stop and explain some things that maybe a beginner would find useful. And I know the process can be overwhelming for a beginner and for somebody that maybe is jumping back into the craft and into the art, and it may seem a little overwhelmed or lost. And so I would love to provide some, not really instruction, but just more explanation to some things. So a little bit about me. I mentioned that I live in Utah. I live in the Salt Lake Valley. I'm a mother, a wife. I am a family educator. I recently received my degree in family education a couple of years ago, and recently I've dropped down from full-time to part-time in my work and diving into the family education area. And this summer has been, of course, a hot one. We've all experienced some hot weather here in the United States, and my summer has been full of change because I haven't been working full time. And so with that, I've been able to do a lot of fun things. We've had a lot of new beginnings in our family. We had a son get married in May, and he and his wife, they were planning on doing a destination wedding, and they found a lovely villa in Italy. And so our family took the big trip to Italy and had a beautiful time together celebrating their love and their new beginning as husband and wife. And I would love to share some pictures at the end of my floss tube today of the wedding. We've also had a new baby come into our family. Our youngest son and his wife had a baby in June. And my daughter and her boyfriend, they recently, the end of last year, they had moved out of state to Alabama to be closer to his family, and they just purchased a home. And so excited for them. We're going to be seeing them in a couple of weeks. We're going to be taking a trip down there. And my husband and I together have 7 children. So we have a big family. We have 12 grandchildren. Another baby in the mix. We have a 15-month-old little boy, and he comes over on Thursdays, and I get to spend some time with him at least once a week, and I love that. So I thought I would share some of my stitching with you as I share my journey with the craft, and then a little bit about my background with sewing. So this is a piece that my sister and I did together. This is a Jeanette Douglas Designs Sew Together. And as you can see, there's 8 blocks. So my sister, Kimmy, and I, we started stitching together back in the 90s. And I wanted to showcase this piece. This is a previous finish, obviously. It's been on my wall for a couple of years now. And my sister and I love going over to our LNS, the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City. And they recently have gone not out of business, but Jamie, the owner, she retired. And so they closed their doors just this beginning of this year. But Jamie at the Craft Center framed this for me. And this is a pattern that has 8 different charts. And I have 4 of them, and my sister Kimmy purchased 4, and then we did a trade. And so the 4 that I purchased at the beginning, I did on the one side, and then she did the other side, and then we swapped. And so that was a good way to share this and do our sew along together. So we live we don't live close by each other, and so we just did it for fun together. We didn't actually sit and stitch together, but we did it remotely, and then just shared our work and our progress together. So my sister and I, she has taught me so much about cross stitch and quilting from the very beginning. And so a lot of the influences from her, but I would like to also talk about my mother. My mother, since I was a very young girl, since I was a baby, actually, all of my life, she has been behind the sewing machine. Not later in my adulthood, but in my childhood. So she worked for a company where she did custom draperies. And so I spent my childhood playing dolls and being side by side next to my mother with the hum of the sewing machine. And I would like to share a photo of her, but I forgot to take it off my wall, so I'm just going to quickly just jump up and grab it. This photo, I think, speaks volumes. Just look at it. Look at her hairdo. You can just tell the era of when that was taken. Of course, my mom is just so beautiful. I believe I know my dad took this photo, and I don't think she knew that she never liked her picture taken. She still doesn't. So she might be a little upset at me that I shared that photo, but for those of you in my generation and older would remember and know very well about draperies hanging in the windows with the different layers, and she would spend a lot of the time during the day while the kids were in school working as a seamstress, doing custom draperies for clients for a local business. And at the time we were living in Utah, I was born and raised here, and also lived part of my life in Las Vegas. So she did that for many years, and I just so much appreciate my mother for her hard work ethic, but also her talent and her abilities and her beautiful example of making things beautiful. My mother is just beautiful inside and out. So I wanted to share the sew together with you, and then another previous finish, and this will help you get to know a little bit what my interest is in my stitching. This is another piece that I did. I'm not used to the camera, guys. Okay, this is Love Abide by La Dia. And this was also framed by Jamie at the Craft Center. But I wanted to share this with you. This is stitched on Lugana 32 count. I think it's Queen's Anne's. And I just really love the houses and the alphabet and that tree. I think the tree did it for me. And also the saying, "In our home, let love abide, and bless all those who step inside." So this is by my front door. So another LNS that we have here in Utah is the Shepherd's Bush. If you've been to Utah and if you've been able to go to Stitch West, you may have gone to a Shepherd's Bush retreat. So that's another LNS. It's about an hour away from me, so I don't get there quite as often as I'd like to. Terry and Tina are amazing, and they've helped me through so many choices and decisions with choosing linens, helping me with color conversions and things like that. This is the pattern, Love Abide. And they actually did a color conversion over there. The girls did over there. And they basically changed the DMC to the colored, the overdyed cottons. So that's the chart here, and I think it's still available. And if you would like the color conversion, you can give them a call. They don't do a lot of online ordering. You basically just call them, and they're so helpful to help you out. All right, and then another stitch that I like to share is actually a very recent finish that I've done, that I finished and framed. This one I actually framed by myself, and this is an antique frame that I found in southern Utah on one of our trips. I think we went down to Moab, and I stopped at a little antique shop and found it. And I was hoping that it would fit into something, that a big sampler that I have. I squeezed this in, so it's not perfect. I squeezed it in, and I love it. And this is G. Leger, 1898. My husband's not here, so he can't help me with the French, but it's Reflex du Soleil, I think. Not sure. And here she is. So, I'm not super good about this camera. So, ladies and gents, here it is. I love this. I know that a lot of stitchers have done this. Lisa Kindred Stitcher, Deb with Country Stitchers. I think that Country Stitchers. So Deb actually gave me the color conversion. She did a color conversion because it is charted in silk, and she was able to change that to the overdyed cotton. And so this was stitched on 32 count antique lace by Seraphim. And I purchased that during 2020. I think it was towards, I don't know, I just remember that Shepherd's Bush was closed to the public, but bless her heart, I think it was Terry. She met me at the door, and we were out on the sidewalk there in front of the store, and she came out with a tray full of linen, and she showed me different samples, and I chose that one for that piece. So that's a fun memory that I have of getting that project going. So that's a fully finished that I just recently did. Now that the craft center is closed, I recently got my chop saw out, and my husband's helping me with framing our own things. So that's been really fun. And that's another project that we've been working on this year. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my whips, which is works in progress. And so this summer I've been working on a big girl, and that is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut, Creative Whims. Now this one, I don't even really need to show you the floss because she is almost done. So you can see the colors. I stitched this on XU Design brown paper, 32 count. And here it is. Now you can see that I just have that corner to do. I've been working on this, I think I started in July. And I think what got me when I chose this chart, it were the strawberries. I just love the strawberries. Got that big house done. I'm so sorry, I'm not used to this camera. And so I need to get, I think this other house is red. I can't remember. Let's see. I used, it's actually like a brown. I'm using all of the called for colors that Teresa chose for this chart. I absolutely love her, and I had to say goodbye for a second because I wanted to get onto some different things, and with fall, fall is here, and I wanted to put her away, and I'm hoping that I'll have her done before next summer. So that is Land That I Love, another chart that I've been working on. Just a small, she's a cutie. This is a chart from I'll show you the chart first. Plum Street Samplers, Paulette Stewart, Cereal Bowl Collection of Sampler Lessons. So this is my fourth one. There are 4 lessons, and this is the last one. And I am making each one of these for to represent my sisters. So I have one sister. So one is for me. I did one for my sister, I did one for my sister-in-law, and then this one is for Amy, my other sister-in-law. And I chose the little quotes that I felt went best with our personalities, and I'll make those into pillows. And so she's almost done. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on this chart, and it's the called for, and I'm using flax linen, and it's the Newcastle 40 count. So she will be the smallest one because I think the others were done on either 32 or 36. So I wanted them different sizes to fit into a cute bowl. And so I'm excited to get all of those. The others are stitched, and then I'll finish that one up, and then I'll hopefully sew them up really soon. And then if I come back, I'll show you. Okay, so another stitch that I've been working on this past summer, and spring, I guess this whole year really, is Our Lasting Friendship by Blackbird Designs. And Alma, she charted this, and designed this, and stitched it. Here's the colors. I'm doing all the called for, and they're very similar, like the browns and the caramels and the greens. They're very similar, but as you know, if you're familiar with Blackbird Designs, they do a really good job with their design. I'll show you what I've done so far. If you watch Country Stitchers with Deb and Liz, they're doing this one together as well. And here we go. So my sister, we're doing this as a SAL with my sister and a group of stitchers that I have been privileged to be a part of. We've been doing retreats, and I think it's been about 27 years. My sister-in-laws, and Linda and Michelle have been gathering once or twice a year to retreat, to get together. We started with scrapbooking, and it evolved into a lot of just like hanging out, laughing, talking, watching movies. We've watched all the 90s. We started in the 90s, like 1997, 1998. And we just had so much fun together. And now, this recent years, we've been doing a lot of stitching, a lot of quilting, sometimes making little Christmas gifts for grandkids. And we watched all of our kids grow up, and our families get bigger, and with kids getting married and grandchildren being born. So my sister, Linda, my sister-in-law, Lorraine, and then I will put all our initials over here for Michelle, myself, and Amy. Okay, so I wanted to show you, okay, first of all, I think this is Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. Fiber on a Whim is one of our resources for linen, and they do hand-dyed linens. And a lot of stitchers will say, I got in the bones. So the bones, meaning the border. So this is a good example to show you if you're just starting out. If you're doing a big piece and you want to make sure that if you have, so for example, if you've got, this one doesn't, but if this one has a lot of detail floral in your pattern, it's a good idea if there's a continuous border to get that in there, and then we call that the bones. And the bones, once you get that in there and it all lines up and it matches, then you're good to go. So If you wanted to do a motif over down here, you know where to go. Or, you know, if you wanted to start your house, you could count from there up, things like that. So you're not limited to just starting in the middle or wherever you'd like to start. I like to start on the top right. I stitch in hand. That's something that I've been doing since I did cross stitch back in when I was a young mother. Back in the 90s, my sister actually showed me how to stitch in hand. And so I've been doing that. And then when I got back into doing cross stitch, I think it was like 2017, 2018 really, I actually changed the way I did my stitch. It was still stitch in hand. Instead of doing one stitch and then going across, I finished one stitch or one cross. I stitched both to make the cross and then went to the next one. So I changed that approach to my stitching, and it's just a process. You just jump into it, see what you like. If you like the hoop, if you don't like the hoop, if you like the whatever you call it. I don't use them, the Q-snaps, or if you have a frame that rolls. I used to have one of those where you attach on both sides and then roll it, and it's a wooden frame. Just jump into it. I encourage you to just try everything, and then you'll be able to find out what you like, what you don't like. And the whole process, if it's not fun for you, then that's okay. If it is fun for you and you love it, just keep going. And you'll find what you love. You'll find the fabrics you love. So with that Lugana, that big one that I showed you, Love Abide, I tried the Lugana. I loved it for that piece. I switched over to linen, and I felt like I love linen more than Lugana. I've tried Jobeline. I think that's how you say it. That's another even weave. So Lugana and Jobeline are even weaves. I think there's a Monaco. I don't know how popular that is or if it's available. That's also an even weave. And then you switch over to linen, which is, it can be not as consistent as far as your threads. There might be some little pieces in there that are like that, and it kind of adds to the character of the fabric. But I after a while, and there's also Ada, and I do have a couple of Ada projects. Some people just really love Ada. This one is on beige Weeks Dye Works linen, and this is my Sabbath stitch that I've been working on this year. This is called Elizabeth Hunt's an antique reproduction by an artist and designer. Her name is Brenda Gervais, and her company is With Thy Needle and Thread, and that's her logo right there. So this is a reproduction. A girl who stitched it back in 1845 at age 7, named Elizabeth Hunt. I just fell in love with this floral border. This is stitched with all the called for. The designer not asked us, but encouraged us to buy the DMC and then actually dye it and dip it in coffee and then bake it in the oven for a few minutes just to dull it down and give it that more authentic and kind of tone down the colors to make it more antique-y. I love her so much. The house is done. I just need to finish the flowers on one side here and then fill in the name. And here are my threads for that. And I just put them in these little cards here, keep them organized. So that's been my my go-to projects over the summer. And then I'm just going to show you, for the rest of my video, I'm going to show you what I've started for fall, and then a little bit of haul, which is actually some thrifting that I've done. I've ordered a couple of charts, but they're not here yet, and so from Etsy. So I will show you what I've done for fall. Many of you have seen Stacy Nash's Primitives Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. And this one's been out it says 2012 on the chart, but I'm not sure if it's been out that long. Here are the colors. And there's not very many colors for this one. 7. And they're all sampler threads, the Gentle Arts. That's the resource there for these. I chose to stitch her on Cocoa by Fiber on a Whim. And when I ordered the fabric, I didn't know it was going to be super purple. But it is super purple, and I actually really love it. And so I want to show you what I've done. So there is my progress so far. And the other day when I was ironing this, and I'll try to put this, I was just trying to get ready for this Flosstube. And I noticed that the modeling on this, right over here, it almost looks like a haunted tree. And I was like, so I thought that's kind of cool. So I've been stitching on this for a couple of years, but really just in the fall or in the autumn time. And last year I took this on a trip to England. My husband is from England, and we went to go visit his family. His mother was having her 90th birthday, and so I took this along, and we always stay, she lives in Cornwall, and we always stay in a little fishing village just about 10 minutes from her home called Foy. And if you've ever been to Cornwall, I know there's a lot of fans of a couple of TV shows in Cornwall, or maybe you are from England, and maybe you live there, or you are a traveler and you've been there. We try to go every 2 years. And I was working on just the flowers, and while I was there, I did the alphabet, and I moved down to the tree, and that was just super fun. Tell me if you want to comment, you can tell me if you like the flowers on this fabric. I love it. So Stacy Nash Primitives Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. And then another fall stitch that I've been working on is another Stacy Nash Primitives called Butternut House. and I just have to fill in the bottom here. And for some reason I miscounted, and I've got a space here, so I'm just going to fill that in with another row of fun, you know, maybe one of these, or create my own. This is a pin keep. Because I have that extra row, I might just frame this one. And this is what the pattern looks like if you're interested in sourcing it. And then I've got my colors right here. I do have project bags for all these, and I just took everything out because I was so worried that I was going to mess up, or I didn't want to take up so much time. I usually make my project bags, so just take a little pause here and show you. This is my Land That I Love bag. It's just, I just made this. This one my sister made for our lasting friendship, and it is gorgeous. I just love it so much. It has this cute little velvet ribbon on the zipper. Thank you, Kimmy. And I made a couple of these. This is where I put Elizabeth. I made this from a jelly roll, which is, if you don't quilt, you might not know what a jelly roll is. It's a collection of quilting fabrics from a designer, and they sell it in a roll that have been cut into 2.5-inch strips. And then there might be about 12 different, you know, here's an example, all these different prints, and they just roll it up, and it's a jelly roll. And it's pretty handy. You can make quilts, you can do all kinds of things with those. And then here's another one from that same jelly roll, and I just put those together. And then I have it different in the middle or inside. So those are just some of my project bags. I don't have a ton of them, so my fall stitching, they're roommates right now in just one bag. So I have a new start. This is my last fall and my last whip that I'll show you today. And this is Madame Chantilly Autumn Wreath. And so my friend Michelle and I saw this at Shepherd's Bush when we went 2 summers ago. I just love it so much. And of course they did a color conversion. And so I'll show you. I started this just a couple of days ago. So I just have this little bird. Done. Is she cute? Michelle has hers done and on the wall. She framed it herself. And Michelle actually changed her colors to more. She thought these were too soft and pastel for her liking for autumn, so she darkened it up a little bit and more autumn colors. So these are the colors. I won't share the conversion just because that wouldn't be fair to Shepherd's Bush. But if you would like, they basically changed the DMC to the cottons overdyed. A little bit of Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works. So that's my new start for fall. My Autumn Wreath by Madame Chantilly. I didn't realize that she is an Italian stitcher from Italy. So I thought that was fun to start something from Italy on the year that I traveled to Italy for my son's wedding. So that's all the whips I want to show you today. I do have a lot more. And so I need to save some for content for another video if I do this again. So, okay, we'll see. All right. Sampler September. So if you're new to Flosstube, new to cross stitching, oftentimes you'll find you'll hear a catchy little phrase or something like, what's September? So it's a sew along, where encourage stitchers to work on their samplers, maybe start new samplers. I have a sampler here that it's my first and my one and only Hands Across the Sea sampler. Margaret Ferguson. Take it out of the plastic for you. This is a Scottish sampler. Of course, I love those flowers. What's not to love, right? My friend Linda in our group gave each of us a bag. And of course, I had to choose this one. So this is not stitched. This is just stamped on some canvas, but doesn't it look like it's stitched? I love it. So it's housed in this bag, and I'm not very far. I just have working on the bones, and then started this leaf here. So for September, I'm going to be working on Margaret. And here are the flosses. I chose to do the DMC rather than the silks. I have not tried silk yet, so I'm kind of scared too, because I know I will love it, and I know it's an investment. So as I've been stitching, I've been putting my DMC on floss cards, but here they are, just kind of in a heaping mess. Don't you just love like new DMCs? I love them. I actually really love DMC. It's a good product. It's nice and smooth when you stitch with it. I failed to mention, I have all these notes and I haven't even looked at them because I thought it would just slow me down, but I stitch with one thread, and I usually do a 36 count linen, and over two, meaning over two, if you think of a box, there would be one of the holes in the middle of your box when you stitch, and so there would be 9 little holes, and then if you were to stitch over one, then there would just be 4 little holes. If that makes sense. So you'll be able to find a chart or something to explain that better. Okay, so I've showed you all of my whips, my sampler September. It's basically a sampler that I've already started that I want to get back on, and then I have one that I would like to start. And I don't have the linen for this one, but I do have the flosses and the chart, and it's The Dwelling Place by Teresa Kogut. Teresa Kogut started as a folk art painter, but she is just phenomenal. There are so many talented artists in the cross-stitching community that for example, Teresa started out in painting, toll painting, folk art designs, beautiful. And then in 2005, she someone approached her and said, hey, you should do some punch art and make your designs, your paintings, like chart them for punch needle, whatever that is. I don't do it, but it's just a different, it's where it's like fuzzy, where your strands of, it almost looks like carpet when you're done. It's so pretty. And then she moved to cross stitch, and so now she still paints, but she often will take her painting designs and put them into cross stitch. And I actually have a couple of little books. I have this book here. It's called Celebrate 15 Years of Needlework. I can't show it to you because it's just a chart, but there is a little scarecrow and a scarecrow called Harvest Scarecrow that I would like to start for fall. And he's a little guy. He's just, his stitch count is 43 by 69. And then one called Bad Kitty. And she is also a pretty small one, 15 by 86. I can't show it to you because I can't show you the chart. And there's not a picture of it. But she's one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, of course. Love my Utah girl, Lori Holt. Man, she is amazing. So I have some of her fabrics right here. I went over to the, this is my haul for this week. I've got some fat quarters of her autumn. I just chose these 3 that I'm going to make into a project bag because my roommates might get a little squabbly in that one bag, so I thought I'd make some more bags for fall, and then that's the that'll be the inside. And then I chose this purple because I'm loving purple right now, and so I'll do a purple bag. Lori doesn't know this, but I back in the late 80s, well, Lori doesn't know this because she doesn't know me. But I used to work at Provo Craft as a young married student in Provo. My husband was going to BYU. And at the Provo Craft on Center Street in Provo, I started as a cashier and then helped with all the some of the craft classes that we had. And that was the time when tulle painting was all the rage. And inside that store in the corner was a place called the Painted Bouquet. And at the Painted Bouquet, behind the counter, I think her name was Dorothy, I can't remember. But Lori Holt was one of the designers that contributed, produced patterns, designs as part of the Provo Craft collections of books that they produced during that time. That was the late 80s, early 90s. And she probably at that time had some young babies, preschoolers, maybe some grade school kids. And I just, while I was there, I was pregnant with my first baby. And I loved working there. That was such a fun job. And then when I had my baby, I chose to stay home and take care of him. So I'm a big fan of Lori. All right. She's so talented. We're practically neighbors. We could be best friends. Okay. So another haul at one of the thrift stores, I found some buttons, man. I was so happy to find these. Just some old vintage buttons. I mean, this is a good chunk, right? I was excited about that. At the same thrift store, I came upon, do you remember Pampered Chef stoneware? Family Heritage Collection. I found 5, I don't know, they're down in my kitchen, but I found 5 pieces that they're in immaculate shape. I don't think they've been used. So my daughters will be getting those. I might keep one for myself, but I also found the little hearts. This one is called Seasons of the Heart, and so there's the 4. And this is a 1997. So this must have been donated on the same day as those stonewares for the kitchen. So I thought they would be fun to stick in a little bowl, put a ribbon around it. This one, Anniversary Heart 2000. So if you are a fan of, if you love the Pampered Chef stoneware. I remember doing, having some parties back in the day, getting some stuff. I still have some of my stoneware that I use, and even some of my pieces, or like bowls and cook utensils and things like that. Another thing that I found in my thrifting is an old Mary Englebright cross stitch. Back in the day, my sisters and I are huge fans of Mary Englebright. And when my girls were little, my sister-in-law came over and she helped me paint a scene on the wall in my girls' bedroom. We had a white picket fence, the little girls playing in the flowers. It was just so cute. And so this kind of brought me back to my girls when they were little. I think I will definitely do something in here. I don't know what. There is a lot of backstitching, girls. I don't know. Oh, there's a Santa back here that I fell in love with. This little guy. He's so cute. And then another thing that I found. This is the last one that I'll share with you today. And I just found this. Jane Austen kit. And then it has these on the back. So keep your eyes open if you're a thrifter. I've been actually looking for DMC. Every time I go into the thrift shops, I look for DMC. Because you never know. I haven't found him yet. So I think that's all that I want to share with you today. I'm in my sewing room. I've got a quilt behind me. This one right here. I do a lot of quilting. Sporadically, I've worked on a few baby quilts for my grandkids. The babies have them, so I don't have him here to share today, but just wanted to thank you for stopping by. And I'm grateful to be a part of this community since I began watching in 2018. Even though I was not on as a provider for videos, I still felt like I was part of the community. And just thought I'd jump on and share today. I also would like to be a contributor with linens, and I am in the process of starting my Etsy shop and dyeing. I'm in the process of dyeing linens and getting those ready to put in my shop. And so be watching. I would like to have another video up either the end of September, first part of October, and I'll be launching my fall collection. Be inspired and grateful every day, and we'll see you next time.